So my name is Graham Turnbull, or I'm from Cloudflyer or Cloudflare, whichever one you want to pick. And today I'm joined by Cynthia, and we're a few things we want to talk about. Firstly, as some of you may know, we've recently announced a strategic partnership with Safaricom as an organization, and we're really proud to talk about that. It's something Cynthia will touch on in the second half of the presentation. But really the aim today is to give you a bit of a crash course into the state of cybersecurity attacks in Kenya, in sub-Saharan Africa, and just equipping you with the skills and the tools that you need to make better decisions. Everything that we do is powered by Safaricom on the back end, the front end. They are very much our wingman in this cybersecurity journey. And the discussion today is to talk about one of many different cybersecurity tools that bad actors use. Maybe just by a show of hands, has anyone ever heard of a DDoS or a distributed denial of service attack before? Okay, you're making my life very easy. For the avoidance of doubt, the idea of a DDoS attack is to overwhelm an organization's network and to take it offline. Now, we saw that with Anonymous Sudan. We see it all around the world. The idea is that if I can affect your reputation, your customer's experience, your revenue collection, or the way in which you process customer data, I can get a competitive edge over you, or I can disrupt you. So the question then really is there we go. Who's launching these DDoS attacks? So we started interviewing people to understand that. Because at Cloudflare, we are one of the largest organizations for stopping DDoS attacks. 3/4 of all people who receive them do not know. But the 25% who do know, it was mostly their competitor. After that, disgruntled employees, nation states. The point is that these attacks are on the rise. They are getting more serious, and is the sort of a threat that one can no longer ignore. The question is, who's attacking Kenya? Now at Cloudflare, we've got a tool called Cloudflare Radar. It's free to use. You could Google it today, and you can sort by any country around the world. And what the data showed from Cloudflare Radar is in the last 4 weeks, the US is upset with you. Singapore is upset with you. Germany. But why Kenya? The 4th largest source of cyber attacks in Kenya are not from foreign actors, but from domestic. So how can we use that information? How can we make better decisions from that? Now, as a follow-up question, who does Kenya attack? Who's your adversary? You don't like the US. But then interestingly, the Brits, China, India. This information changes over time. If you were to expand this to a 3-month or a 1-year scope, the data would show very different information. And this information can be incredibly powerful when you're making business decisions. How should I configure my security? How are threats changing? How can I get access to such information? Visibility is power, and power is control. And that's very much part of what we are thinking as Safaricom and as Cloudflare needs to be in your hands. We need to give control back to yourselves. So as a very quick recap of the company I represent, we're called Cloudflare. We were founded in 2010, and after 9 years, we were listed on the New York Stock Exchange. We have fierce ambitions this year to make it into the S&P 500. My organization represents 23% of the internet. About 1 in every 4 websites globally are protected by us. So when you look at the data that was just on the screen, that data is informed by 1 in every 4 websites' threat intelligence. We have more useful data that is being segmented and processed that allows us to be market leaders in several categories. And all of the categories I'm about to describe to you, Safaricom has partnered with us to deliver at an affordable price point, protecting websites with application services. Think WAF, DDoS, DNS, protect people, zero trust, email security, content filtering. These tools always used to be inaccessible to anyone but the enterprise, the people who had tens of thousands of dollars a month to spend. But this is changing now because of this partnership. The thing you're really buying into when you look at the cloud that is local is that you're extending your company's edge. Now, it doesn't have to be with Cloudflare. You can take any provider for that matter. The concept is what's important. Would you rather have 4 or 5 data centers that you own and that you fund and put security in them? Would you partner with an organization that extends your network so that there is security available in over 335 cities around the world, including one in Nairobi, including one in Mombasa? If a bad actor tries to attack you from the US, as we know they are the bad guys right now, wouldn't it be useful to stop one of the 20 cities where an attack can be born from, where Cloudflare can stop it at the source? We're no longer inviting the bad guys to our homes, your home. We're saying, I would like to stop the attack where it starts, not where it is destined for. And that concept shift is incredibly empowering because you can still have your local infrastructure, but you can have a global presence, all without any hardware. The only point I want to make on this network is every one of these points of presence carries every one of the pieces of technology that Safaricom and Cloudflare are partnering with to sell. So you have complete redundancy because every data center is a backup for every other data center. If Mombasa were to fail, let's go to Nairobi. If Kenya was to have a nationwide blackout, let's go up to Dar. Those concepts of resiliency, threat intelligence at a global scale, and being able to expand your organization's network without having to make the big investment can be incredibly powerful. So, let's see if it clicks. Fine. Very broadly, we're not going to speak about product today. There are 3 areas in which Cloudflare supports people. And these 3 areas are also where Safaricom can support you. We can protect your people. Think Zero Trust. We can protect your networks. Think DDoS. And we can protect your applications. Think firewalls, API protection, fraud with bad bots. All of these tools are now being made available. The same tools that 40% of the Fortune 500 use are now available locally. So when we talk about DDoS attacks, there are a few different ways in which you can overwhelm someone. First, you can attack their network, and second, you can attack their websites and their applications. The data shows from with Cloudflare that the vast majority of cyber attacks are going to be evenly distributed between your network and your applications. Now, a DDoS attack against your application uses a different mechanism to one that protects your network. So you do need both. And some of the figures up there will show you some of the different techniques that they use. But if you really are curious about it, you can pop over to the booth afterwards, and we'll cover a bit more information on that. Cynthia and I have a chuckle about this because during the Cybersecurity Summit that we did last year together, we were doing a presentation about DDoS attacks where right before the presentation, we had just stopped the world's largest DDoS attack. And during the presentation, on day 1, we stopped the new largest. So I had to update the slides for day 2. Now, what you see in front of you is a 5.6 terabits per second attack. Now, that means nothing to anyone. But imagine taking your organization and rerouting all of the internet traffic of Norway through your infrastructure. That is the new reality. It is affordable to launch cyber attacks like this. This is not an edge case. This was against an individual company. Now, Cloudflare stopped the attack without the customer even realizing. They just got an alert. Hey, we've just stopped something. You should take a look. And what had happened was that network that I showed you earlier had made those considerations by stopping it at the source. Over 40 different data centers had to kick in for it. Now, the reason we raise these points is not for you to be concerned about DDoS attacks itself. It is more to just give a level of awareness that there is a different way to think about cybersecurity. It no longer needs to be on-premise. It can be more cloud-based. These are the top 10 countries worldwide who are going to launch cyber attacks which use DDoS. Indonesia, Singapore, Hong Kong are the top 3 at the moment. But there's certainly more considerations that need to be made when we realize that Kenya is attacking itself and what security policies need to be made. I'll share these slides with everyone afterwards because it's useful for you to have available to you. But the ISPs, the internet, marketing and advertising, gambling are all industries that are being attacked. Now, I'd like to hand it over to Cynthia, who has got a wealth of knowledge in this space and has also been a fantastic partner with Cloudflare on this journey. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Graham. Thank you. Let's scoot past this picture. It's just, with the advent of technology, I just wish they would do a better picture than that one. That's like my worst picture ever, but it always shows up. But Graham, thank you for the nuggets that you've been giving us here on cybersecurity, on DDoS, on zero trust. When we look at our landscape here in Kenya, cybersecurity threats have been tripling, quadrupling. Just a few years ago, we were counting them in the hundreds of thousands, in single digits of millions. We're now approximating nearly 1 billion threats that have been detected. Makes you wonder about the ones that are not detected. The reality is the threat vectors, the threat actors, the attack surfaces are changing in a very dynamic pace and evolving at a very dynamic pace. When I was thinking about this, how many of you are soccer fans? How many of you are soccer fans or basketball fans? I remember a few years ago when the NBA talked about they had to change the game to make it more interesting. And partly making it more interesting was making it a more offense-driven game. In the world of cybersecurity, the actors are evolving faster than the defense is. So if you are watching this as a sport, it would be a very interesting sport. But the reality is any one of these attacks has the potential to truly upend your company, reputationally, financially, operationally. That's when it stops being exciting because it's not a game. The reality is the type of threats and the vulnerabilities today are putting us in a position where we must have a plan and we must be prepared because the cost of inaction is actually extremely costly. So I think I clicked way past the present. That's all, ladies and gentlemen. Let me see, where did I go? This is very sensitive, huh? The picture. So the type of threats, the actors have changed. That graphic that Graham was showing, where some of the actors are coming from right here domestically, some from the United States and other countries. The threat vectors have changed. It used to be individuals, maybe bored individuals, maybe disgruntled individuals, as he was showing you in the graphic. Increasingly, these are either state-sponsored or actually companies that are doing this for financial gain. But any one of these can cause significant damage to you as a company. I recall about a year ago, actually it's almost 2 years ago now, we were talking to a hospital, a level 5 hospital here in Kenya, about cybersecurity. And they listened to it like you watch a movie. Very interesting. I buy what you're saying. It's important to do this. We'll get to it. But the reality is, what do you think they did? Did they act? They heard it. It's like when they say don't drink and drive, but yeah, you do go in and drive. They heard it, but they didn't act. The reality is they were hit with a ransomware attack. They were asked to pay a significant, ungodly amount of money. And what do you think they said? Yes or no? What do you think they said? They said no. And consequently, all their records were wiped out. So this is not a game. And for those who are playing it, it's not a game. The importance of having a proper plan and to be properly prepared is important. So it's increasingly becoming a place where cybersecurity is not something that happens as a side gig. Like you're the IT guy, we'll slap on cybersec to your job title. You're the risk person, you'll have cybersec as your side title. The reality is it's important to have a very clear cybersecurity posture, a very clear plan where you think about what are the risks, what are the vulnerabilities, what are you going to prioritize first, second, third, fourth, and then how you put in the actions around them to execute so that you're detecting these threats as they're occurring. And quite frankly, the day has gone when we could say we will be able to detect on our own without the use of technology. This is where AI, machine learning become extremely important in detecting those type of patterns and those type of threats, and then being able to contain them as early as possible. Then what your incident response looks like and the continuous learning and improvement. The real important thing for you to take away is cybersecurity is not just about having the policy, it's not just about having the plan, it's not just about having the best cybersecurity partner you could have in the world. It's about making sure that everyone in the company has an ownership and an understanding of what these threats and vulnerabilities are like, and they're all ardent protectors of that infrastructure. So at Safaricom, we think about this across the layers. We are known for being a connectivity company, an M-Pesa company. That's what everyone knows us for. But everything that you're doing and running your operation as a company is sitting on top of that connectivity. In our view, every connection must be a secured connection. When we talk to CIOs, when we talk to CEOs, many times we want to talk about the sexy stuff. Hey, what can you help us with AI? What can you do with big data? All that's exciting. But quite frankly, first secure your network, secure your applications, ensure that users coming onto your network are authenticated and validated. Once you've done those things, then you can go up the stack in terms of what you're doing to digitize your business and transform your business. Kenya has over 80 million mobile connected devices. Every year, 1.5 million youth become adults in this country. And what do you think the first thing they do is? They get on a mobile network. Coming out of COVID and having a very youthful population in Africa, and Kenya being no different, the reality is every business that wants to survive today and grow today has to be a digital business. You have to be on digital platforms, you have to be on social media. All of these things start to expand the number of connected devices and the type of employees you're also getting. Right? You're connecting your networks not only in one central location, you have all these hybrid working environments, all these young people want to work from home, all these things cause an increase in your threat vectors. So it's increasingly important that you look at cybersecurity from the basics. Before you think about how you protect your applications, that connection has to be protected. Then you want to make sure you have a full multi-layer security structure where zero trust now is no longer a luxury, but a requirement for any business to be successful. So it's not just about what you're protecting, it's also what you're enabling for your business. While you may protect its reputation, you may protect its operations, customers also want to know that they're working with a company that protects their data, that cares about its information, that's available when they need to engage with them. So increasingly important that you're also thinking about cybersecurity from the lens of how you can help a company achieve its objectives. So last year in October, we were sitting right on this stage. We were talking about cybersecurity and talking about a partnership that we have launched with Cloudflare. And why did we do that? A couple different things. One is cybersecurity. We all understood the importance. You've seen the threat vectors growing. You've seen the number of threats growing. But the reality is many of the solutions were not affordable for many businesses, even for large enterprise businesses. And even when they could afford it, you had the exposure of many of those products being priced in foreign currency. So you were left exposed to not being able to have a predictable cost of doing business. Our partnership with Cloudflare has been extremely important to create affordable, ready-to-consume packages for businesses, and in particular, the small and medium-sized businesses in this country at a very affordable rate. Graham, who can beat you on value? Who can beat you on capability? And dare I say price?
I would invite anyone here who's curious to find those questions to come to the booth after the session.
And I can promise you 1 free year of connectivity. If you find anyone that would bring a total package, connection, protection, and enablement in a one-stop shop. This is our partnership with Cloudflare and Zero Trust, being able to provide that multi-layer authentication, validation, protection, and enablement of your business becomes extremely important. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a booth out here where we have our professionals, both from Cloudflare and Safaricom, who could talk to you about the packages that are on offer to you. And I can assure you, in this marketplace, you'll be hard-pressed to find a solution that gives you the type of protection guarantees, the type of support that Cloudflare provides. That 5.6 terabit attack that happened while Graham was talking, actually, you were standing right here on stage when that happened. I was trying to imagine the size of what 5.6 terabits is. You said all Norway's traffic. Maybe M-Pesa traffic. People know M-Pesa. How many M-Pesas is 5.6 terabit?
25.
25 M-Pesa transactions hitting your business per second. No one can sustain that. Not even the largest companies can self-insure against something like that. Remember, it's not the ability to come in and disrupt inside your network, even being able to prevent customers from accessing your services in an increasingly digital ecosystem can damage you reputationally and financially. Ladies and gentlemen, please stop by the booth. Say Cynthia sent you. If you do say that, you will get an award, I promise you. Thank you so very much. Nice talking to you.
Sanjay.